Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to the Online Learning Initiative, children. In today's class, we are going to see about delegation of authority. What is delegation? The process of sharing task or responsibility and authority between a manager and his subordinate is called as delegation of authority. When you take an organization, a manager will have different tasks to be performed. And if the manager is desiring to concentrate only on the organizational goal and he wants to focus only on the objectives to be reached, then he can share his workload with his subordinates. That process is called as delegation. So here there is a transfer of authority from the superior to the subordinate. Okay, because the superior is delegating his work to the subordinate, and this is a prerequisite for the efficient functioning of an organization, because if the superior is going to share his workload with his subordinate, then he can concentrate on the major activities to be performed and he can focus completely on implementing creative choices in achieving the objective. Okay, so that's why it paves way for the effective efficient functioning of the organization. This delegation also enables a manager to concentrate on higher priority activities, and this also will give the subordinates need for recognition, because the subordinate who is working for a long period and who is efficiently working will expect some sort of appreciation from the superior, and this delegation of authority will be like a recognition for the hard work of this subordinate. So this gives a satisfaction to the subordinate also. And this delegation of authority is purely based on the principle of division of work stated by Fayol. So in division of work, we actually divide work according to the individual's capacity, the qualification and experience, we divide the work. So here the superior will delegate his work to the subordinate based on the capacity of the subordinate, based on the experience and qualification of the subordinate. Now, whether the superior is accountable even after delegation, of course, yes. A manager, whenever he delegates work to his subordinate, it doesn't mean that he can point out his finger to subordinate at the time of accountability, but still he is supposed to be accountable for the work assigned to him. He has only delegated the authority, that is, he has only shared his work with his subordinate, but still manager is answerable to his immediate superior. Okay, because this person may be a superior to the subordinate, but he will be accountable to some other manager, isn't it, to his immediate superior. So to that manager he is supposed to be accountable even after delegation. Now we'll see the elements of delegation, otherwise called as the steps and process of delegation. Authority, responsibility, and accountability are the elements of delegation. Here, authority refers to the right of an individual to command his subordinate. So, what is the scope of power for any manager? To command his subordinate, that is, to what extent he can give commands to his subordinates. So that right is actually called as authority, and within what scope he has to take action according to his position. Okay, so that is called as, that scope is called as authority. And this authority originates by virtue of an individual's position. So whatever is the designation of a person in the organization, based on that designation only this authority varies, and this authority flows from top to bottom. Like if you take the CEO of a company, he will have the highest authority, and next comes the departmental heads, that is the production manager or marketing manager or finance manager, and then comes the foremen here in this case. And here in market we have zonal managers or assistant managers, and here also we may have some assistant managers, and under finance manager we may have the chief accountant. So this flows from the top to the bottom. The person in the the topmost person in the hierarchy will have the highest authority in the organization, so it decreases from stage to stage. So that's why we say it flows from top to bottom. Only when CEO decides to delegate his authority, he can delegate his authority according to the departments. And only when the departmental head decide to give some authority to their subordinates, they can give. So it goes on like that. It flows from top to bottom. And it helps to maintain order in the organization. Order in the sense which work should be handled by whom. So that order of work is followed in authority. And it also determines the superior subordinate relationship, who is the immediate superior and to whom we are supposed to answer. So that relationship is clearly determined in case of authority. Next comes responsibility. Responsibility is the obligation of an individual to carry out the assigned duty. Suppose if the subordinate is there, superior, that is the manager, has given work to subordinate 1 and also to subordinate 2. So this subordinate 1 and subordinate 2 should have the obligation to carry out the work or the duty which is assigned by the superior. So that is called as responsibility, and this purely originates from the superior subordinate relationship. And here this flows from bottom to top. That is, the subordinate is responsible for the work assigned by the superior. So that's why we say this flows from bottom to top. And this authority granted must be equal to responsibility assigned, because as we already know, according to Fayol, authority and responsibility should go hand in hand. They are supposed to be equal, right? Next is accountability. What is accountability? Being answerable for the final outcome. That is, to whom we are supposed to be answerable. That is accountability. Like if manager is giving some work to his subordinates, he is the superior and he is giving work to the subordinates. These subordinates are supposed to be answerable only to this superior. That is subordinate 1, 2, and 3. They are accountable only to this manager, to this superior. So once again, it flows from bottom to top. It flows in reverse order. And this accountability cannot be delegated. Subordinate 1 cannot request subordinate 2 to be accountable for his work, because the work assigned to the first subordinate should be completed only by him or her, and that concerned person is only accountable for the work to be done. This work cannot be delegated to others, and it is generally enforced through regular feedback on the extent of work accomplished. So how much ever is the work assigned, these people should at least go on a daily basis or on regular intervals. They should give the feedback to the superior about the work done. So this is called as accountability. Okay, next we are going to see the importances of delegation. These are the importances of delegation of authority. First comes effective management. When the work is delegated by any manager, the manager will actually have time for planning, and he can focus his uh, complete attention can be given to policy making. Okay, so these are the role played by any manager. These are the important role played by any manager. So if the manager needs to spend time for these activities, he needs to delegate some of his work, regular work, to his subordinates. Okay, next is employee development. Employee development is, because of delegation, employees get more opportunities where they can utilize their talents and skills. Like for example, instead of regular routine job, if they are given any additional job by their superior, if any job is if any of the job of the superior is delegated to the subordinate, then he will try to use his talent and skill to complete the given task. So in that way, these employees will get developed. This also becomes an indirect training for the employees development. And not only that, it will also motivate the employees, because the delegation of work is a mark of trust and confidence of the superior on the subordinate. So for this trust and confidence, to maintain this trust and confidence with the superior, the subordinates will do the work with full commitment, 100% commitment. Okay, so in that way, this delegation motivates the employees, and employees gets encouraged, he feels encouraged, and he tries to improve his performance even more further. Okay, so it acts as a motivation for the employees. And next, it is a facilitation of growth. It acts as a good training ground. As said now, it is like an indirect training which is given to the employees. So the subordinates will have some responsibility in diversified area other than their work. So whatever is their assigned duty, to that additionally these work also will be done. So in that case, they will be having some additional responsibilities. Okay, so which will actually facilitate the growth of that personnel in the organization. Next, this is the basis of management hierarchy. This delegation is actually established out of superior subordinate relationship, and this is the basis for any formal organization. We know about what is formal organization. Because of the relationship in the organization, when we get which we get out of the designation is called as formal organization. Like for example, CEO will have a formal organization with the departmental head, and he may have a formal organization with the assistant managers or even to the worker who is working there. So they will be with some bondage which is formally based on their position in the organization. So this is called formal organization, and this delegation arises out of the formal organization in the organization. Okay, so it is a degree and flow of authority which will determine who has to report to whom. So based on the superior subordinate relationship, based on the duties assigned, this will clearly give a picture of who is supposed to report to whom. Okay, so that in that case, it stands as a basis for the management hierarchy. And finally, better coordination. The three elements which we discussed, authority, responsibility, and accountability, they actually define the powers, duties of the employees in the organization. So in this case, the overlapping of work, duplication of work is avoided. And this clarity also helps to develop and maintain effective coordination among the different departments and levels of workers, and even among the function of management. And because of all these importances, we call delegation as the key element in effective organizing. Okay, because without delegation it is not possible to have uh, an effective organizing at all. So that's why we say delegation is a key element of organizing. Okay, so next we have completed with delegation, and next we are going to see decentralization. Now we'll see what is decentralization. To understand about what is decentralization, first we need to understand what is centralization. When there is a concentration of decision making power at the top level management, we call it as centralization. Suppose if you see the small enterprises, the proprietor may take all decisions even though he or she is not an expert in the or expert or professional in the concerned field. Even then they will be taking decisions, so they will be the only person to decide on various things in the enterprises. So this is an example of centralization, where the decision making power will be concentrated at the top level of the management. The contrast of this is decentralization, which is a systematic distribution of managerial authority from top level to middle and lower level of managements. A very good known example for this decentralization is the division of powers which we follow in our Indian government. Okay, so we have the central government, we have the state government, and below the under the state government we have local government. So we have actually shared the decision making power among the various levels. So this stands as a very good example for decentralization. Okay, the same is applicable even in any organization. The CEO will not have all decision making authority with himself or herself. The CEO has to divide or has to distribute the decision making authority to the lower level managers, to the middle level managers and lower level managers also. Okay, so this process is called as decentralization. To increase the effectiveness and to improve overall functioning of the organization, any organization should maintain a balance between centralization and decentralization, because no organization can have complete centralization or no organization can have complete decentralization. There should be a balance properly maintained among these two. Okay, so this is about decentralization. Now we are going to see the importances of decentralization. The first importance of decentralization is it develops initiative among the subordinates. When we decentralize, it means that we are distributing the decision making authority to the subordinates. So what happens here is the subordinate will feel that the they are very much self-reliant, and more confidence was maintained by the superior. Okay, so to maintain this confidence level with the superior, definitely the subordinate will try to become more initiative. They will develop their initiative skill. Okay, next is develops managerial talent for the future. When we decentralize, we actually distribute the decision making authority to the subordinates. So when we give smaller decision making skill to the subordinate, we indirectly train them as future managers. So if the subordinates are properly trained with this decentralization, they'll be able to decide on smaller issues, so that in future if we have any vacancy in managerial position, they can be considered for promotion. Next is quick decision making. When we follow decentralization, we actually are distributing the decision making. So here, the person who is supposed to decide will decide on those issues and will close the issue then and there, isn't it? So this means quick decision making is possible in case of decentralization. But if you just think about the red tapeism which is followed in the government companies, the the person who is in the particular designation should come and decide on issues, and if that person is on leave, or if he has some other works to do, then this issue will be as pending. It will be kept as a pending case till the person comes to decide on it. But here when we compare it against decentralization, even the subordinate, within the scope of power whatever is assigned to the subordinate, if the issue is within that limit, the subordinate himself or herself can decide on such issues. So this facilitates a quick decision making in case of decentralization. Next is it is a relief for the top management, because for each and every decision making or for each and every solution we need not disturb the top management often. The lower level managers can take decision within the scope of power limited to them. Okay, so that's why it is a great relief for the top management. So definitely they can be concentrating on the planning function efficiently. Next, it facilitates growth. When decentralization is followed, managers also have some freedom to manage the affairs of their departments. That is, we give freedom to the subordinates to decide on some issues, so they enjoy certain freedom in this decentralization. So this will allow them to function in the way they like, but within the scope limitation of the scope of power. Okay, so they will try to put in their best efforts within that scope, and they will try to prove themselves, and this will be a good sign which will facilitate the growth of the individual as well as for the organization. Next, we will have a better control when decentralization is followed, because we cannot exercise control on each and every individual in the organization. Suppose if it is centralized. In case of decentralization, each and every subordinate will be given some authority of decision making, and that is why it is very easy to control the subordinates through decentralization. And the extent of achievement of organizational objective as well as the contribution of each department in meeting the overall objectives can be ascertained, and feedback from all level helps to analyze variances and improve the operations, because we have many subordinates who are with decision making authority. So when they find any deviation, immediate feedbacks are received, and the deviations are checked then and there quickly and with a positive approach. Okay, so that's why this also gives a better control. So with this, we have seen the delegation and decentralization and the way it has to be balanced in any organization. Thank you, children.